spilled out some special sauce. So, hey, it's Dave, Top Frog with Pondscapes of Charlotte here. Wearing one of our retro shirts. This is back in the beginning 20 years ago. We had t-shirts that were embroidered because we could back then. But at any rate, I'm going to give you a little crash course here on planting water lilies. What we did is we took our bucket and we put in some just regular filled dirt. We want to take out some of this big stuff that really won't go well with the lily. We have already put in 1 handful of time-release fertilizer and 2 fertilizer tabs. What we did is we went out and we harvested a water lily, but more importantly, we harvested some special sauce with it. So I'm going to pull the lily out here. That's the lily. But what we got in here is special sauce, for lack of a better word, fish poop. And water lilies love fish poop. I'm going to put all that in here. This is it's like baking a cake with cake decorating bag to get all that good stuff out of here. Alright, then we're going to take that, we're going to mix that up into this dirt. And that's going to make it super, super fertile. This water lily is going to go berserk in here because of what we're doing. If you don't like fish poop, you should probably leave this up to the professionals. We're mixing that in, getting it nice and moist. This is just like spreading fertilizer throughout the whole pile of dirt. Ideally, water lilies like clay soil, but they like it fertile. Get this so it turns black. That's the way you really want it. I'm going to add a little bit of water here. Alright, got that nice and moist throughout. See if I can get a little bit more of that out of here. Put that together there. Wash it around a little. Let me see that stuff. That is solid fish poop. The hole right in the bottom here, since this is the last time we're using this. Let that come out. Loving goodness right there, baby. Mix that down in there. I don't think we have any dry soil in there. Oh, there's a little spot there. Keep looking. Oh, that ain't good. Alright, so we had a little mishap there. We got into some bees area and they didn't like it, so they tagged Evan, the cameraman, on the head. That's where all the video went berserk. And then they came over to me and tagged me on the head too. So I dropped this, spilled out some special sauce, so hopefully we got enough left in there. But look, it's got a nice root pack around it. What we're going to do is put this thing in here like this. Normally, you would put the top of the rhizome, this spot right at the top, but there's enough of a pack here. We're just going to lay it in there, just about like that. Try and pour out some water. I'd like to pour out water without pouring out dirt. So I think we can do that. Alright, so we're down to pretty much soil now. This plant is in heaven. Look at this here. We got bud right here, this little bud. It's just going crazy. It's extremely happy. So I don't think we're going to have any problem with this plant. Evan's perfume's attracting that bug again. Now I'm going to rinse off the leaves here so they don't dirty the water all up when we put it in. This is what a spent bloom looks like. We want to take those out because it's just like a rose bush. If you deadhead the lily, it's going to bloom more. So we're going to take all these spent blooms off. Alright, so we're just rinsing off some rocks here. People are like, why don't you put nice little gravel in there instead of them big ugly rocks? Well, the fish in the pond love the roots. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover this up so that the fish can't get to the roots. So we're going to take these leaves off. When these leaves start to turn colored like this, they got about another 2 or 3 days in them. Lily pad leaves last for 2 weeks. Blooms last for 2 days, maybe 3 days if you're lucky. But we take those off rather than let them decay on the bottom, become more nitrogen. So I'm going in here, I'm taking any dead leaves off so that this plant has a nice, healthy, fresh start. Now, when we submerge this in the pot or in the pond, all this dirty water is going to want to come out. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to turn this on ever so slightly. So I'm going to go over there now, put this in the pond, and we're going to put it in super slow in the hopes we don't get too much dirt out of there. Let's see how it goes. The key here, do not fall down. Most sun we have is down this end, but we don't want to block the intake of the skimmer with the leaves of the lily. So I'm pretty much going to put it in the center here. See how it goes. Wish me luck. All right, we're down. Hopefully it'll clear up pretty quick. All right, so we have some of our marginal plants here, and they came out of a pond that was pretty good. They were planted in sand, and there's not a lot of soil around the roots of them. They have some organic matter, but not a lot. We take the dead leaves off. We're always trying not to break these stalks so that they look broken after we put them in. This thing's like a weed. You're not going to kill it. You don't have to be gentle with it. We're just going down here to wash off as much organics as we can. The more organics around the roots, the less nitrogen this plant is going to take out of the pond. So we want this thing to be starving for nitrogen because we want it to get its nitrogen from the water. So we're washing off all these little pieces of leaves and things that are on here, washing all of them off in the hopes that this thing, when it wants something to eat, is going to get it out of the water. All you plant people out there are thinking, what kind of nut is this? He's going to plant a plant without any dirt on the soil. And you'd be 100% right. This plant is going to do its best when it's fully in soil, organic soil, with a lot of nitrogen in it. We as pond people, we have other motives as well as beautiful plants. This plant is still going to be beautiful. It's still going to grow. It's still going to flower. But at the same time, this plant is going to act as a natural filter, drawing nitrogen or fish waste out of the pond. While putting soil around this would help the plant, we want this plant to look good, but we also want it to work for the pond. And this plant is going to work for the pond. The key to planting iris is you have to look at all your viewpoints and determine, as this thing grows up and gets more dense, where is it not going to block our view? Because this will get maybe twice as high as it is, and it'll just keep growing sideways in a clump. We're going to look around and make sure that we're not blocking any of the viewpoints. If you take a look over here, we have a viewpoint, and this is from the customer. They tend to their garden a lot, so they're looking up at the pond this way. They're on the deck a lot, so they're looking down from the deck. They're in the 3-season room. They're looking down from the 3-season room. You see the little window up there? The little window up there is the kitchen sink. They're looking out at the kitchen sink. So one place they're not looking from normally is over here at the playground. The kids probably aren't caring too much about the view of the pond. So what I'm going to try and do is put a lot of these iris on this side of the pond so that as they grow up, they're not going to be blocking any views. I'll show you what I mean. So here's a little spot right here. This is a crosswalk, so we definitely don't want to block the crosswalk. We want you to be able to get through there. We're going to go over here, pull some of this gravel to the side, Put that down in the gravel. Put the gravel back over top of it, and it's done. When the kids are over here, and that thing's real big, they're not going to be able to see that waterfall, but they're not going to care. When you're on the deck, the only thing this is going to block is this bee's nest we ran into over here. So I think it's in a good spot. So we're going to go ahead and do that with the irises, and then we'll switch over to some of the other marginal plants. We had oh, there's the water hyacinth right at the waterfall there. We might have to find a way to, that thing will float in the skimmer if we don't find a way to tack it to the side somewhere. Let's take a quick look at that. This is a water hyacinth, and this grows by rhizomes. Rhizomes are extensions of the root. If you look at this, you can see this going over here, and this being a whole new plant that's starting to grow. So these things will grow out like this, and they're super fast growers. They're illegal in a lot of states because they block the waterways from boat traffic. But in a water garden, this thing is designed the way we're trying to get that plant to grow. It doesn't have any dirt. It floats in the water. These little packs here act like life preservers. It has a beautiful purple flower on it, and these roots just hang down and say, give me nitrogen, and they take it out of the water. When you thin out your water hyacinth, you're taking out a lot of nitrogen that's on the root system. There's not a lick of dirt on this thing. So what we have to do, this will float. It's a floating plant. It's going to float right into the skimmer if we don't secure it somewhere. So what we're going to do is find a spot for it, and I'm going to take one of its roots, pull it to the side, and tuck it in the gravel. Another way to do this is to tie a fishing line around it, and you tie a fishing line around it, and then it put an anchor on it, and it keeps it in the same spot in the pond. A lot of people say, well, I've seen it where they put fishing line across the pond. Well, if you've ever seen water hyacinth floating and not being able to get past the fishing line, it looks extremely unnatural. So we don't want to do that. This right here will work fine.